back to the Schiller Hamilton Podcast. My name's Kevin Phillips, an associate attorney here, along with David Bartholomew, another associate as well. Just wanted to kind of chat. David and I are two of the newest attorneys here at Schiller Hamilton. And so we just kind of wanted to get in. Speak about, kind of our path, our history, and how we kind of ended up working here. So, David, you can kind of explain a little bit about yourself, what, law school, college you go to, law school you go to, how you kind of ended up here with Schiller and Hamilton.
Well, I did not take a linear path like a lot of people did in life. Ended up going to Greensboro College, a small little college up in Greensboro, and graduated cum laude there, and ended up going to Charleston School of Law with you.
Yep.
Actually, we were not in the same section, but we started out at the same time.
What section were you in?
I was Section C.
Okay, I was Section A.
Well, and from the get-go of law school, I wanted to pursue a criminal path. That's always been the path that I was going on. Part of the reason was, going back to that non-linear path, I got in some trouble when I was younger. I know what it means to need a good criminal law attorney, to be in your corner and have your back. Somebody that cares and somebody that understands what you're going through, what you're feeling is important. Because, the attorney that I had to help me out, he didn't care. I was another check to him.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. I keep that in mind as I handle my criminal cases.
So, after you graduated law school, kind of what happened after that?
Well, you and I actually had been talking about coming down to Beaufort.
Yeah.
It was kind of the diamond in the rough. Nobody from our class was really coming down here. We talked about it. What did you do to bring yourself down here? I know
I just wanted to move here. I'd learned about the area when I was living in Charleston. For those that don't know, so it's on the intercoastal waterways. You've got Charleston and Savannah and Beaufort. It's about right in the middle of those two, rather large cities. And, I call Beaufort, it's like a little Charleston light, So,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so I wanted to come down here. My wife's family was down here. They've been down here for about 12 years now. So we've been visiting the location, which is also what kind of brought me to the Charleston area. I love history, love Charleston. But it was a bit too populated for us. The traffic was tough in Charleston, and Beaufort presented that Charleston light experience that you're talking about. So we were excited to get down here, and we've been down here for the last, I think since I graduated law school in 2017.
Yeah, about 5 years. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, time flies, doesn't it?
It does. Did you work anywhere before you came to Schiller Hamilton?
Yes, actually, I clerked at the Charleston County Public Defender's Office. I did that close to a year, I believe, and that was all pro bono. Didn't get paid anything. That was just free service and experience. When I came down here, I actually opened up my own firm to start out. Nobody was hiring. And then I was able to obtain a contract through my law firm to do the public defending work for the town of Hilton Head. They actually ended up closing down their court, and I ultimately was hired by the Beaufort County Public Defender's Office, and I was doing all of their municipal work.
Gotcha. And then, so how long have you been with Schiller Hamilton now at this point?
It's been about 6 months.
Okay.
And loving every minute of it.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about being at Schiller Hamilton, you think?
The camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's a team effort. Everyone, I really enjoy working around a group of people that not only enjoy what they do, but want to help you out. It's, so much of your experience, it can be cutthroat. It can be very competitive. I like that we're not competitive with one another, that we try to help each other out.
Yeah.
If I got a lead, or if you have somebody that needs some help, you give them to me, vice versa. Yeah. We're all just trying to help each other grow.
Mm-hmm. I think I sent you a potential criminal client yesterday. I think you sent me a potential client today as well, too.
Yep.
So, well, for me, my path was, I'm from Georgia originally. Attended the College of Charleston. Always really liked Charleston, like you said, the history, the access to the water. I grew up right outside of Atlanta, in the suburbs of Atlanta. After living next to the water for so much, I was just like, I'm not going back to a landlocked area. You kind of really do that cliche, fell in love with the area and the low country, the history, the people, the quality of life. You're correct, though. While I was there, well, let me back up. So I graduated the College of Charleston as a communication major. I kind of knew in undergraduate that I wanted to go into law school. I was part of a legal fraternity when I was in undergraduate school. Ran that for 2 years and started making connections at the law school. When I graduated there, everyone told me, you kind of should. It's a good idea to potentially go to law school where you're going to practice, because ultimately those will be the attorneys those will be your colleagues. Years down the road, those will be the judges in your area. Those will be the people that you end up working with for throughout your career. So it's good to start making those relationships early. So I decided to stay in the Low Country, went to the College of Charleston, then the Charleston School of Law, where we're in the same class, but different sections. Went there, really, enjoyed myself, had a great time there as well, but also really focused on networking and making those connections and having mentors and trying to learn really what be a lawyer is all about.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you also have some criminal experience? Didn't you do something like that?
I did an internship with the solicitor's office down here. And that's right. I spent a summer down here between my 2L and 3L year down here working for the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office.
And that was your first little introduction
to it. And I really did. This place was, had all the things you liked about Charleston without the things that you didn't like about Charleston. So it made a lot of sense when I ultimately graduated from the Charleston School of Law to move down here. I didn't really have too many connections or family or friends, but I was like, I'm going to go there and make it happen. Came down here, kind of just got involved in the community pretty quickly, just volunteering for organizations. I mean, there's always volunteer opportunities everywhere you go. People always will let you do free work. So
and let me interject for a moment. For those that don't know him personally, he is literally in every organization you can imagine, everywhere in the community. I don't know how he has this much energy. It really blows my mind. But he is true to his word. He is out there in the community.
I really enjoy it, and it's good just to I think just have an impact on your community and the people around you. I mean, just having an impact on where you live. And, I never wanted to be a fly on the wall. I always wanted to be involved. So it was actually through that involvement that I met Bennett Schiller, who's also a very involved man in the community as far as, boards, commissions, nonprofits. And we met actually at a lot of those events. We kept seeing each other and running into each other. And so ultimately, I'd been here for, a year or two, and he, ultimately had a position come available and offered me a job. And, I've been here now for, almost 2 years. So.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually asked you, how do you get involved in the workers' comp?
So how I got involved in workers' comp was the opportunity to work here was for workers' comp. So
fair enough. Fair enough. I understand.
And the thing that I really learned about workers' comp that I enjoy, it's very hands-on with your clients. I mean, you're dealing with clients that, they're getting a weekly check, they're getting medical expenses taken care of. You really engage with them. There's certain legal fields where you sign up a case, you have a client, and there's really not much to do for months and months on end. But with workers' comp, that's not the case. You're pretty much involved on a weekly, if not daily basis, depending on what's going on with the clients. So I came in. Bennett had been doing workers' comp for over 20 years. He was a great teacher. Just kind of gave me a bunch of files and said, get to work. If you have any questions, let me know, and started figuring it out. Social Security disability was the same way. Ultimately, you didn't know that when I was in law school. I didn't take a Social Security disability class or anything of that nature, but these are really important for the things that I loved about the legal profession. Like you said, with the criminal attorney, just being there for someone, helping them out. I mean, in a workers' comp case, you've got someone who's been injured on the job. Now they can't work, they can't provide for their family in the way that they were. They need medical treatment. I mean, and they're worried. They're kind of scared for the future of themselves and their family, and you get to kind of stand in that gap between them and the big insurance companies. Social Security disability is the same way. Something has happened to someone, whether it was just one incident or it's some sort of debilitating disease that's gotten worse over time, and now they can't work anymore. And so it's, what do we do? their whole, the future is kind of, hanging in the balance. And so both of these fields, I did not know that at the time because, again, I didn't have much practice in them previously, but now I've been doing it for, 2 years. And those are my favorite things about them is that the direct impact, you get to really, really help people and see it and see the, results directly. I mean, you have clients that are just, you can hear the relief in their voice when you get, a good verdict for them, when you get a good result for them. I mean, you can just see it. I mean, sometimes they will cry. Sometimes I can imagine. It's so life-changing to them just to have that, relief and that, the weight taken off of them. So, again, I've been here for about 2 years. I'm glad that we were able to meet back up again. And now, so I'm going to kind of turn a little bit and ask, because a lot of times people think, court is court, and we just, you go to court. So you mainly focus on, you said criminal and family law.
Yeah, predominantly criminal and family law right now. And the family law it's been a little bit of a learning curve. Like you said, you get out there are so many differences. Court is not court. That's not a blanket statement.
Yeah.
Criminal court is drastically different than the family law court, just as I'm sure the administrative law court is completely different for you. In criminal court, for instance, the burden is always on the state. Mm-hmm. It's the state's duty to prove your client guilty, and you're standing in the way of the state.
So and that's guilty of everything. That's from traffic ticket to murder.
Does not matter. If you are eligible for a public defender, it falls underneath the Constitution, mm-hmm. and you are allowed to have or you're constitutionally protected and can get an attorney appointed to you. So that's actually one big difference between a lot of the court systems.
And the criminal side, so the state is always on the other side.
The state's always on the other side, and the criminal courts, to the best of my knowledge, are the only ones that an attorney is guaranteed for you.
Yes.
It's a constitutional protection. I believe it was Gideon v. Wainwright that mm-hmm. granted that decision that granted that all
nice
attorneys.
Little case law.
Yeah, a little case law. Yeah.
And so what's one of the main differences when people hear family court that's different than
Well, family court is a court of equity.
Yes.
So
is there a jury in family court?
No, there's no jury.
Yes.
There's no jury in family court, and one of the biggest distinctions that I've seen so far, beyond it being a court of equity, which means you try to balance the input of the marriage or balance the best interest of the child. Mm-hmm. A lot of the court, like I said, is a balancing act. Mm-hmm. But most of the cases need to be resolved within 365 days. So from start to finish, you got a year to work on this case and get family issues resolved. Mm-hmm. Doesn't always happen. For instance, this morning we had a motion to extend beyond the 365. So it does happen. It does go beyond, but you have to ask the court's permission to go beyond the 365.
So, and I would say with my two main practices here, workers' comp and Social Security disability. Social Security disability, as I was mentioning, is another area that I practice in. Both are considered an administrative court. So in Social Security disability, the only time we'll go to court and usually it's not even called court there, we have a hearing, is when someone has applied for Social Security disability, they've been denied, we file a request for a reconsideration, that gets denied, and then we file a request for a hearing. At that point, we do have a hearing. Again, there is no jury similar to the family court. It's an administrative law judge, myself, my client. There's a vocational expert who will testify to different vocations that my client potentially could or could not engage in. And then, as always, there's a court reporter. So those are, a little different. I find that judges act, it's a little different when it's just 3 people in the room as opposed to a courtroom full of a jury. And
don't have a gallery behind you.
Exactly. And there's no gallery. I mean, Social Security disability hearings, the most people that'll be at that hearing are 4, maybe 5 people. And all of them are there because they have a specific role to play in the hearing. With workers' comp, we have hearings to resolve issues. I guess it would be similar to family court. If you get a workers' comp claim, sometimes some of my workers' comp cases, you never have a hearing. We come to a resolution, everybody's happy at the end of that, and there's not a hearing. But both sides, I represent the employee, the other side represents the employer and their workers' comp carrier insurance. And either side can request a hearing at any time. There's forms that we file, and we request that hearing and have it within 60 days. So workers' comp does move pretty quick. I mean, that's pretty quick in the, American jurisprudence system. So 60 days, we can get a hearing to resolve any issue. That issue could be on medical treatment that my client needs that they're denying. That issue could be, a weekly check that my client needs that they're denying, or it could be a weekly check that the insurance company's trying to stop, and I'm saying that they shouldn't be doing that at that time. So at any time we can request a hearing in workers' comp. Workers' comp, you go in front of a commissioner. So there is a board of commissioners. They are appointed out of Columbia, and they serve as commissioners. Most of them are people that have done workers' comp for 20, 30 years. They've been doing it for a long time. They know the issues. They know the law. And we have a commissioner. And so again, with a workers' comp hearing, it's usually just myself, my client, the defense attorney, a court reporter, and the commissioner. So again, there's no gallery, there's no jury. I tell my clients that all the time when people get nervous about going to a hearing because they think it's going to be a room full of people staring at them. And I try to ease those concerns and tell them it's not. I'm going to be sitting right there beside you. It's going to be me and you. There's going to be one other attorney and then a commissioner who's just trying to really get to the bottom of it and resolve whatever issues is before them today.
So, and going back to some of the differences there, criminal court, there's multiple jurisdictions, and I run into this issue all the time in talking to clients. They'll get stopped, they'll get issued maybe a couple of traffic tickets or a few traffic tickets, or charges on UTTs, uniform traffic tickets, and they don't realize, that's one incident to them, but they don't realize that depending on the charge, it can go to different courts.
Yeah.
So if it's sheriff, it goes to magistrate court. If it's a misdemeanor, if it carries under a year, then it can go to magistrate court. But if it's, if it's more than 30 days, then it can go to general sessions. But if it's under that, then it goes to magistrate court. But then if there's the city, if a municipality gets involved and they have their own court system, you can be going to municipalities. So we get people all the time that may have been found guilty in a magistrate court while their general sessions is still pending, and they just didn't understand that jurisdictionally they do break it up. You can consolidate the charges into general sessions if there's an associated charge, but you have to make the request. You have to talk to the prosecutors and get them to move and actually consolidate everything together. Otherwise, those charges are going to be heard separately, and that messes up a lot of people. And just people don't realize that one incident is being heard in different courts.
Absolutely. Well, and I thank you. I'm glad that your career is back here. We get to see each other after law school and work for, I think, a great law firm here in the Low Country. I mean, as we know, just voted on last year, #1 personal injury law firm in the Low Country. Really proud of that. So I'm glad that you're here with us. I'm glad to be here too, and hopefully we've explained to people some of the ins and outs of these legal issues and the importance of having an attorney that's experienced, and having an attorney that focuses on that exact legal field. So David, thanks for being here, explaining that with you, and we'll see you next time on the Schiller Hamilton Podcast.